I don't know if you heard that.
Right.
That came out on the audio.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is Kieran for GOST, which is Getting Our Shit Together. And I'm delighted to be joined by Arnond V. Now, Arnond, you're not a specific, well, you are a dance coach, dance teacher. We'll talk about that. But you're not specific. A lot of the guys that I've spoken to are either involved in dating in some capacity or a coach of some kind. But you're more dance instructor. We'll get into it. But it's more we got speaking online because my brand is Getting Our Shit Together. And I saw you in a dating group, and you very much, it's very evident to me that you were a guy who met that standard. And I think in multiple sort of ways in your life, and your dating life is very sort of accomplished, and you're doing a lot of interesting things.
Thank you.
Yeah. No worries. So I thought it'd be interesting to have a quick chat, and we'll record it. So yeah, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
So you were telling me a little bit about your backstory. Do you want to sort of fill the guys in on how you came to? You're in Thailand currently. How did that come to be, and what's the backstory there?
So if we're gonna go through the lens of women and dating, growing up in America as a first-generation immigrant, I didn't have too much of the social awareness because my parents weren't always throwing parties, having parties. So it wasn't until I went for college and after college and realistically like learning to dance and learning how to talk to women, how to touch women, how to ask how to do something, how to say this is what I want non-verbally, that really has helped.
It's interesting you say like, because it's funny, like you say like the way how to touch women, and like if you read that the wrong way, you could be like, well, what on earth does that mean? They're just humans. But it is true. There is something to it, and like guys talk about the need for children to have like physical play at a young age because you learn that rough and tumble. You learn what's too far. Like you learn, and then as a result of that, like the same can be said for dating and being physical with women. There's a smoothness, there's a touch, like, and I'm sure dance is sort of the perfect way to get into that. I mean, so maybe tell us a little bit like that. Were you sort of scratching your chin at university, at college, thinking, right, how am I going to get better with ladies? And dance was the thing you settled on, or what was it? Or you just had a natural liberty with dance, or what?
Oh hell no! Like you know, playing tough guy sports in high school, American football, wrestling, track, all these things were like you had to be the tough guy.
Yeah.
We never learned how to interact with women. And it was something that was just foreign to me. And I don't know how it is in England, but in America, as a man, if you dance, it's like it's because you're gay, you're a fairy, you're this or that.
Yeah.
And it was until my mid-20s I learned to dance, and I was like, this is the opposite of that. I don't understand how there's a stigma.
So I think our continental neighbours, I think like Spain, and we were talking before about what is like the cha-cha and all these sort of like what was it, the other sort of Spanish-infused dances and stuff. They understand that this is it's a partially masculine thing, or it is a very masculine thing, and it's the smoothness and it's like the Latin romance. Yeah, I think in England we're the same as America, where we just think, well, that's for Nancy boys or something like that. But probably, obviously, that's changing now. But so you got into it, and where did you go from there? Because it's like not into. We're going to cover like you're into powerlifting now, strongman events. You do acrobatics. You've got multiple plate spinning, which, if you know the lingo, you'll know what that means. And lots of cool things going on. So it's very eclectic. So we need to get into all of it. But take us back to you're in America, you're at college, and you get into dancing. And what's the first thing that you realize that, oh, actually, cool, I've got something here. When did you realize I'm going to stick with this? Like I'm not giving up with this.
So I started taking Zumba classes because I was in the gym and I hated running. All right. I was like, I hate running, even with music, whatever. Like I'll do wind sprints. I'll do 100-meter sprints.
Yeah.
But like a 5K, 10K, like I'd rather blow my brains out.
Yeah.
And the moment it clicked where I was like, this is fun. Like I enjoyed myself for that past hour. and it's not the same as like, powerlifting or running uphill 10 times, but it's still enjoyable. And I'm a very competitive person. So I would look at the teacher and look at other students, the advanced students, and say, okay, if they can move their bodies like that, why can't I move my body like that?
Mm.
And that was the moment where I saw it as a challenge, as a mental
And
challenge.
that unlocks the competitive element in you, because you're like, okay, that form, I need to unlock that. And it's kind of a really difficult thing to analyze, right? I assume, because it's how do you be smoother? Like if it's like a
Yes,
flow, there's a technique to it, but smoothness, how do you learn that? Where does that come from?
exactly. And all the sports I played, whether it's powerlifting, it's just be stronger. Running, just be faster. Everything was always a race to get from point A to point B. But dancing, again, I have like 1,000 quotes. And one of my favorite quotes is something like, it's not about how you get from this side to that side. Dancing's not about getting from one end of the room to the other end of the room. It's about how you get there and taking
Yeah.
your time and the fucking journey and all the cliches that we all know.
No, but that's also, so it's, yeah, okay. So, and that, I guess, differentiates it from a lot of other things. I wonder how you feel about this, right? Do you ever hear people say, oh, well, you're just born with it? Like about whatever discipline it is. Like I've heard people say it about leadership. I've heard people say it about lots of different things, being
Mhm.
with women, whatever it is. And I've always
Yeah.
hated it. Like people have natural proclivities for things, but I do hate it. I wonder how you feel about that.
Dude, I'm with you 110%.
Mm.
I'm actually reading a book, excuse me. Ooh. You know the book, The Dichotomy of Leadership
I've
by
heard of it, yeah.
Jocko Willink?
Yeah, Willink, yeah.
Have you read that?
No, I've listened to I think his first one was Extreme Ownership, and I've
Yes.
listened to, I think I've got through almost all of the audiobook for that. But yeah, but what, and they go into that concept in that, or?
They go into, sorry, it's a little off track.
Yeah.
Um, Going back to people being natural, I don't believe it at all
Mm.
because 15 years ago, I was a different person. I hated dancing. I couldn't find the beat.
Mm.
Like I was teaching step aerobics, and the first time my teacher was like, "Okay, Arnond, you find the beat." And I sat there and I was like, I don't know where I can't find it. Like I can follow someone doing it.
Yeah.
And 10, 15 years now I'm teaching dance.
Wow.
So it is something that is, I fully believe, trainable,
Yeah.
right?
Almost any discipline, yeah. All right, so you get into dance. You've already been a powerlifter before that. I mean, I don't know if guys can see, like you look like a fairly unassuming guy, but I've seen photos of you at your events, and you're in real good shape, and obviously,
Thank you, brother.
you,
Thank you. Yeah.
well, no, it's aspirational. So talk to us a little bit more, maybe about what was the choice behind moving to Thailand, and what your life looks like now.
So I pretty much just never stopped working out from when I was 12, playing sports in, we call it middle school. You guys might call it, what do you guys call it?
Yeah, I
Secondary
think
school?
secondary, middle, yeah.
So from there,
We've got like year 10, which is like 14, 15. That's your high school.
yeah,
Yeah. We're
yes.
from 11 to 18 is all one school.
Okay.
Well, sometimes that's 16 and 17. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, go on.
So for me, I was 12, started playing sports. And then I remember going to the gym when I was 15 years old. I couldn't even drive yet. My parents had to drive me to the gym, or this older wrestling teammate would drive me to the gym. And that's where I found my peace and centeredness and all my emotions and being, 16, 17, 18, having all that angst and emotional turmoil, that the gym was my release.
Yeah.
And it wasn't drugs, it wasn't whatever. So
Yeah, I noticed that about you, man. I mean, it's like we said before, spirituality is one of the things that I want to talk about with Ghost, because it's not all about just like get as much as you can so you can consume as much and get those dopamine hits. It's like, we need to find, I think there's something lost in our society, right? I mean, lots of people come onto this realization, I think, as you say, but it's like, we can't just be consumers. There's got to be something more to it. And maybe the bottom's fallen out of a lot of like church and religious things. People are like, well, how can that be logically true and all that sort of stuff? But there is something greater that we can get to here. And I think when I speak to someone like you look like you've got an understanding about something, and it's a stillness, it's a peace, it's less people have that than people who do have it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
maybe you want to say a little bit about that, like when others might turn to drink or drugs, you don't. Is that just a conditioning thing, or is that what's gone on there? Well, how can other people get that sort of level of peace that you've got? Big question.
So
I know that. Sorry, it's a big question.
No,
Attempt any bit of that, you know.
no, I would love to get to that. And I think it's observation and just seeing. One of my jobs in and after college was being a bouncer. And I would watch people get like fucked up on the weekends, like doctors, lawyers, engineers, like people who were like, had like social status, and they were just getting completely wrecked. And like watching them, these people embarrass themselves, I was like, that's not what I want. I don't want to drink my life away. And Kieran, I remember there was a professional athlete in the club, right? And he's acting a fool, wilding out. And I remember I talked to the guy, his agent or manager or something. And I'm like, who is that guy? And the guy's like, oh, it's some professional athlete. And I'm like, why are you guys here? Like, what? Like, and the agent was like, oh, he just has money to blow. What? I'm like, you guys are here every other weekend. Every weekend I see you guys in here. If I had that kind of money, I'd be flying to like some Greek island somewhere, right?
Yeah.
If you had tens of thousands of dollars to spend, why would you go to some shitty club in some like small, at least go to New York City, at least go to London or something, go somewhere. But no, I'd be in New Zealand. If you gave me 3 days off and I had unlimited money, I'd go to New Zealand.
Well, and it was not a great club. So he's earning good, top money, and it's in some rundown sort of club.
Okay, it's not rundown. But for me, you know, when you're a bouncer and you work there and you go there every night from Thursday to Sunday night, it's like the same crowd, the same girl, the same. Yeah, and I was like,
same energy.
Yeah, it's like he's a great athlete. He's making lots of money. His manager's there, and I was like, if I had the money, I would spend it differently. I wouldn't be.
Just it wouldn't be up.
I wouldn't be pissing it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be pissing it away to buying bottle service. And I remember at the end of one shift, these whales, you know, they had bottle service, table service, and they had Dom P, Moniette or something, champagne. And the bottle's unopened, and us bouncers are like getting people out of the club, and we're like, wait, can we try some of that? And the guy's like, yeah, the bottle's not open yet. You guys can have some when we're done, whatever. You know, we see you every weekend.
Yeah.
So I asked the manager, we asked our boss, we're like, hey boss, can we drink this? He's like, yeah, sure. Finish your job, clock out, then you guys go nuts.
Yeah.
And it was $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 champagne.
Yeah.
We tried it, and I was like, good. It's not $3,000 good.
Yeah, mate, it's the nutsest thing, isn't it? When you go to clubs and you see people like getting that bottle service, and like you say, it's like it's good champagne. That's it, and it's like multiple thousands of pounds they spent on it, and you're like, what? I get it to an extent, the social side of it, like the status, like, but even that's just like empty, because if someone knows what they're talking about and knows a little bit of this game stuff, they could just go over and peel those girls off who've come over there for the status anyway. So I don't know. It seems like a waste to me. But maybe, all right. So that's interesting. But like, so circling back around now. So you've gone out to live in Thailand. You mentioned that you were doing a job that you weren't necessarily that enthused about before you went over there. Was that the security job? Was that the bouncing job, or was that something else?
No, it was a corporate job. It was like sales type in this clothing store. And so again, so I'm always working out just because that's my thing. I think my dad had influence on that. He was always working out. My brother stays working out. It's just in our family.
Yeah.
And it's part of, I would call it intergenerational wisdom or knowledge, just like there's intergenerational trauma, intergenerational ignorance, as well as pandemic or endemic knowledge. Again, just like dating, with making money, whatever it is, most people don't know shit. Like,
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, you know your craft, you know your trade.
Yes.
Like, if you're a doctor, you shouldn't be fixing your house. Just hire a fucking plumber.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's so true. I think like people, like, they understand their trade, they understand maybe their hobby, their primary hobby, and then maybe the secondary hobby. That's kind of it. And then like a little bit of like politics and like the stuff that you can read and whatnot, but you're not expert level at it. And that's, I don't know. I mean, this is sort of separate subjects, but like if you look at things like the media and what we're told by the news media, let's say the mainstream news media that you'd see in TV and magazines and newspapers, it's like, I think it's fair to say, like, they're not always representing the truth in the best and most honest possible way, right? And once you understand that, and then you have friends who are like sort of really clinging to that, like, no, well, like, I'm informed because I consume news. And it's like, well, yeah. Yes and no. and I don't want to get like arrogant about it. It's not my job either, so I'm not crazy informed. But it's like, there is something that, what I'm basically saying is, all of us overestimate how much we really know. And like,
you know what that's called, right?
Go on.
You know what that's called, right?
Oh.
Dunning-Kruger.
The Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah. But that's the thing. But like, people think that only applies to stupid people, but it applies to all of us. Yeah.
And then, Kira, the thing for me that's made my life so much easier is I admit when I don't know something.
Yes.
Well, I just be like, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. It's beyond my scope of practice. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And I'm so much happier. I'm so much.
Yeah.
Like the first few times I'd say that, I was like, oh, it sucks. I'm like, if there's that sting of your ego. The ego's like, how can you not know this? Everyone should know this. But it's like, no, I really don't. Like,
yeah, that sting does come back though. When you've learned it and then you're still making the mistake, the sting comes back and it's like, you fucking idiot. This should be in there by now. So you never get rid of the sting entirely. But no, I know, I'm with you. And it's like, yeah, people do hold on to that a little bit. So, all right, so you've always been working out. So you get to Thailand, and basically, so you leave the corporate world behind, and you're like, right, dance teacher. I have to live this out, and I have to do this.
So it was more a calling, because when I came here, the level of dancing is just so low,
right?
And that there's now a disparity. There's a big enough gap in knowledge and practice that I feel compelled and almost obliged to teach, because when men are leading women in a partner dance, they're usually learning from YouTube or some other source. And my analogy is, that's like learning to make love by watching porn.
Yeah.
So again, like there's a certain way you touch a woman, you ask her, you lead her through a thing. And again, it's not like begging or supplicating, but also not like shoving her into something. I'm like, I would like you to do this.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny because it's like, yeah, you could like, let's say you get good at this dating stuff, you get good at game, whatever. It's like, I could, like, let's say if I've got a really advanced student or whatever, and he goes up, you can go up and like make out of a girl almost straight away, right? So not all the time, but some of it happens a lot. And like, an outside observer could be like either just like, I don't know how to explain that, or B, they're just like, is that okay? Like, didn't he just go up to, but it's like, he's not just going up to grabbing her face and like, she's got no control. He just pulls her in and kisses her. It's like at every like microcosm, every like step of his body moving forward, there's like a permission seeking almost, like, do you know what I mean? And she's like granting it with the like, and then it just, and then that sort of smoothness, but it happens so quickly that you can't really pay attention. But if you're really to break it down, that's what's happening, and I think that's what you're getting at.
He's reading micro signals
Yeah,
that someone without experience is not picking up on.
yeah. It's like I come over and it's like her eyes immediately go big and wide like that, and she starts smiling. It's like that's
your signal.
Yeah, that's an invitation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this stuff's dangerous because then you just think like, shit, if my girl goes out with her girl mates and like someone who knows what they're doing comes up to her, it's like, what? How much control do they like? They can't. Yeah, obviously they can take a minute and just be like, all right, okay, I remember I've got a partner, but like in that second, it's like it really is like an automatic response thing. Like there's no defense against good game basically, like, and you gotta wield that power wisely.
And I think that's where like the Buddhism, the spiritualism of learning to understanding, on attachment and not being overly stuck to someone. And it's sad, but it is and it isn't sad. Have you heard the saying? It's like a Facebook meme I saw somewhere, and it's let go or be dragged.
I haven't, but I like it. Yeah. I like it. Dude, that's actually an excellent segue because in the last couple of days in my group, I've been just re-looking at some Buddhist stuff, and I was looking at it before, and there's this great person called Robina Courtin. She's an Australian lady, but she's been a Buddhist. It's not monk for a lady, is it? Buddhist, whatever, for a lady. And she's been doing it for 30 years, and she just is able to talk about Buddhism in this super practical, applicable way.
Yeah,
she's like the Buddha is basically saying, be your own therapist. We can remove a lot of what we classically call negative emotions. But what I would ask you is, and here's my big question: how do you solve the dichotomy between the Buddhist thing of like let go of all grasping, so let go of all attachment to material things, with also living in the real world, moving forward? It's like, okay, I want to have children, I want to provide for my family, I want to do all that stuff, and I need to have some sort of material success. So how do you marry those two things? Because I can't just flush out the Buddhist thing. It's like it has to be incorporated because it's too powerful to not incorporate.
So you've heard of Tantra, yes?
Yeah.
So again, I'm not an expert in Tantra. I wouldn't even say I'm an expert in Buddhism. I've just read a bunch of books, some other stuff, done a few like Vipassana meditations. So basically, Buddhism is the yantra arm. It's like the opposite of Tantra. And please, someone, if they know better, please correct me. This is just what I've picked up through like Facebook, Instagram. And yantra is the renunciation of all pleasures to achieve God, enlightenment, nirvana, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Tantra, as far as my understanding goes, is we control our pleasures and we use them as tools so that everything now becomes God.
Right.
Like everything becomes an elevated, what's that book called? I was listening to this audiobook called, damn. Anyway, so this woman, she's like, yeah, she's like, okay, eat this raisin, right? But don't just like eat it mindlessly. Like, look at it. Look at all the crevices and all the cracks and where it's smooth and where it bumps and it's all this. And put it in your mouth and swirl it around, right? Feel it and taste it. How sweet is it? How salty is it? And it's how can we have this hyper awareness of our senses so we have control? I don't know if you listen to, you ever watching James Marshall on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a bit of an OG. Yeah. He yeah. This is like
a godsend
from maybe. Like, I think I remember first watching this guy maybe in 2011, 12, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not that long, but a long time ago. And like, yeah, really interesting guy. He went and, well, maybe you take us through it. Like, he basically got in. He's an Australian guy, got into like lots of Eastern practices. He went over to China, did the real legit, like up in the mountains, kung fu training or whatever it was, and he's like you. He actually, you remind me of him, in fact, because it's very sort of still and like not saying too much or no. Do you know what I mean? Not saying any more than you need to, sort of thing. Being calm in your own energy. Yeah.
And I think the thing that we all have in common is that we're all Renaissance man. Like I don't know you that well, but I can feel that like spinning plates. I don't know if people have negative connotations, but it's, yeah, you need money, you need health, you need women if you're straight. We need this attention. And it goes back to Abraham Maslow.
Mm-hmm.
How you feel with it, the pyramid, this triangle needs.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to the tantra of controlling our desires, it's not about cutting everything off.
Yes.
It's about, and again, the beauty of like Latin dancing, salsa, bachata, zouk, is that you dance with this partner, man, woman, whatever, for 3 minutes, and we're super hyper connected.
Mm-hmm.
Once that song is over, it's like, hey, thank you for the dance, hug, kiss, whatever, and you go separate ways. And that's something that's.
But it's that hyper awareness. You're really experiencing the moment. So like this, like
right.
I see what you mean. Because like because sort of leading on from that, like so that does sort of sort out that dichotomy for me, really, because it's like, yeah, when you need to, I guess when you need to work, you need to work, and when you need to have your pleasure and really feel it, like really, like, and there is a way of like like experiencing it more and like taking it for what it, like, we all have that sensation of like you've got a delicious meal in front of you and you just gorge it down and it's all gone and like you didn't take the time to really enjoy it. I'll do that again in the future, but it's it's that is a better way to live. Because on the other side of things, so if you've got someone who is too indulgent in pleasure, obviously that's no good. But there is obviously like especially in like self-help and improvement circles, there's like guys like Jordan Peterson, guys like David Goggins, I'm sure you might be aware of. And I think they take it too far the other way. And it's just like, or The Rock, and it's like, get up at 4 a.m., like every day, hustle, like no breaks.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. Like, where's the juice of life then if you're going to live like that? Like, I'm sure you're going to achieve an awful lot, but like this goes back to that sort of that meditative thing as well, where it's like the now is all we ever really have. So if your now is always hustle, unpleasant, well, not unpleasant, but like the hustle, the grind, then there's not enough juice in that for me. So yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like all of these things that like you sort of come back and like the solution to a lot of these things is like an answer that they worked out thousands of years ago. So it's like, yeah, okay, well, that's why there's 7 days of the week and 6 of them you work, and on Sunday you chill out. It's like, but it's about like relearning that stuff for a modern audience, I guess, as well.
Yeah. And like Jock was like, get up at 4:30. Like I'm like, but I love dancing, and like dancing, we dance until 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. So is that realistic for me? And all these great inspired people. And speaking of Jordan Peterson, I think it was one of his videos, maybe it was him and Joe Rogan. Anyways,
yeah.
And he said the highest, top of Maslow's pyramid is self-actualization. And I think it was him where he was saying that art is the highest form, creating. You said we are consumers, right? So how can we produce? And I think the highest form, going back to another quote I heard, if you work with your hands, you're a laborer. If you work with your hands and your head, you're an engineer. And if you work with your hands, your head, and your heart, you're an artist.
Right. And that's like almost that's how you get the most fulfillment out of life. Like, yeah, doing something that you really love. Yeah. And I guess that's you're the living proof of it, man. You were doing something else, and I'm sure that was like materially, like money-wise. I'm sure maybe your thing in Thailand, I'm sure is growing all the time. But money-wise, I'm sure America and the life you had there was with maybe materially more, but the passion, the
Yeah.
love, the self-satisfaction, I'm sure there's no contest. You'd rather be in Thailand, right?
I had this epiphany when I was at work one day. I was like, wait, I come to work.
Mm,
I don't want to be here, yet they pay me money.
mm,
But then I would go to my acrobatic gym with my friends who I love,
mm.
and we pay them money and we show up on time.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, that doesn't make sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true, and it's like, look, you don't want to be glib about it. Like lots of people, maybe either, and not to be condescending or whatever. I've had mates said to me like, look, I'm not creative. I'm not. It's not my outlet. I enjoy my job, and I'm well paid for it, and I'm not going to go and be a ski instructor or whatever it is. I don't have this passion that I'm going to go and do. I'm going to continue my corporate job, and that's that. I'm going to have my family and enjoy my life, and it's like, no problem, man. That's great. Yeah, that's great. But there's another type of person that's like, maybe, certainly I felt like that, and I was like, I just can't do this. I cannot. It sounds like you were the exact same. Cannot turn up here every day in this fake environment, or it felt fake to me at least, and just do this monotonous stuff that I couldn't give two shits about. And I literally switch off when I go home. It's like, can't do it. Can't do it. So I've got to try something else. And this other thing, like, it might not work. It might fuck up. Like, but I've got to give it my best shot and try, because I don't have another option. It's just that it's like hell to me, the other option. So yeah.
Like you feel repressed. I remember, yeah, I remember like reading the company guidelines. Like I was okay, I'm gonna memorize the thing and I'm gonna wow them. And my coworker was like, no, the owners, the managers, they don't give a shit. They just want you to like keep your head down, do the work. Like no amount of I was in the army too. No amount of like extra motivation, no amount of like, hey guys, like you show me love, I show you love. And there isn't that amount of camaraderie or esprit de corps that there isn't like a dancing community or a acrobatic community where we're literally lifting each other up, and it's
literally. Yeah.
literally, yeah. And it's like my flyer's safety is dependent on me. And there's always trust, and in
it's
most
building bigger
jobs,
bonds. It's like, yeah, whereas like if we're just sharing the same bit of carpet, and I'm doing my little thing on the phone and computer, you're doing your little thing on the phone and computer. It's like, I don't know, man. And I don't want to like, look, for lots of people, that's their reality, and fine. And it's like, it's just for that certain section of the population that I think I was and you were part of. It's just like, you can't do it. You got to do something else. You go mad otherwise. You go mad. But listen, I know it's getting late where you are, Arnond, and I've got I think this has just been a great conversation. I've learned a lot. I'm going to watch this one back and go over the notes for it. But there's some stuff you've said here, man, that I think really hits with me personally. And I hope so. I hope anyone watching it can get something out of it. So thank you very much for your time, man. And hopefully,
yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
I would leave you one more thing.
Please.
Remember your friend said that they weren't creative. Look up, I think it's Watson's. It's Watson's 12 infant experiment.
Yeah.
And if I'm mistaken, I'll look it up and send it to you. But
and what does that imply? What's going on there?
He was a psychologist, and he said that he could, if someone gave him 12 infants, he could not force, but like lead them to the path of being whatever, because he could create the environment that, I forget what percentage, but he said that if he got 12 infants, he could steer them to become any path that he wanted.
Right.
And it's sort of like that tabula rasa, blank slate theory.
Okay.
So,
okay, that's interesting. All right, I'll look into it. Well, meaning that there's more scope for being creative or changing things up than we might naturally think.
it goes into like the balance of nature nurture, and this guy John Watson was saying that nurture does have a heavy influence. Cool. But we can get to like sports and whatever, like.
Well, I think I personally, I don't think the tableau is the blank slate. I mean, I think that obviously we do have things that we'd be naturally good at. Like we've got proclivities in certain areas, and I think it's quite nice. But like you're saying, also at the same time, explore around that. And you never know what's going to light you up. Like you didn't know dancing was going to light you up. You did it, and you were like, wow, okay. And now 15 years later, still doing it. Well, listen, man, this has been a good one. Thank you again.
Yeah. I had fun, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.